Outside, the Philistine army, tens of thousands strong, made camp at Shunem. Their spears glinted like stars against the hillside. Tomorrow, Israel would face annihilation. And in a cave, hidden from his own soldiers, the king of Israel was about to commit the ultimate betrayal of everything he once stood for. This is the story of the night King Saul spoke to the dead. Saul stood on Mount Gilboa, watching the enemy gather. The man who once stood head and shoulders above every Israelite now trembled like a child. Where once the Spirit of the Lord had rushed upon him in power, now only silence answered his prayers. God, he whispered into the night. God, please, speak to me. Nothing. He had tried everything. The Urim and Thummim, the sacred lots used by priests, gave no answer. The prophets remained silent. His dreams were empty voids of darkness. Heaven had shut its doors. You see, years earlier, Saul had disobeyed God one too many times. The prophet Samuel, God's mouthpiece, Saul's mentor, the man who had anointed him king, had delivered God's final verdict: the kingdom is torn from you. Samuel was dead now, had been for years. And Saul was alone. That's when his servant whispered the unthinkable. My Lord, there is a woman in Endor. They say she can speak to the dead. Saul's blood ran cold. He had been the one to ban all mediums and spiritists from Israel. It was God's law. Anyone who consulted the dead deserved death. Leviticus 20 verse 27 was clear. Deuteronomy 18 called it an abomination. But desperation does strange things to a man's convictions. Disguised in common clothes, the king of Israel crept through the night with two companions. They found her home, a small dwelling that reeked of herbs and something else, something wrong. The woman's eyes darted nervously. What do you want? Saul's voice was steady, though his hand shook. Consult a spirit for me. Bring up the one I name. Are you trying to get me killed? She hissed. King Saul has cut off all mediums from the land. This is a trap. The irony was suffocating. Here was Saul, swearing by the very God he was betraying, as surely as the Lord lives, you will not be punished. Whom shall I bring up? Samuel. Bring me Samuel. What happened next defied everything. The woman began her ritual. We don't know what dark art she practiced, what demonic forces she usually deceived people with. But suddenly, she screamed. This wasn't part of her act. Terror, real, absolute terror, flooded her face. You've deceived me, she shrieked. You're Saul. Something had gone horribly right, or horribly wrong, because there, rising from the earth, was a figure wrapped in a robe. This wasn't supposed to happen. Not really, not actually, but there he stood, Samuel, the actual prophet, not a demon, not a trick. The text is clear. It was Samuel himself. The dead prophet's words cut through the darkness like a blade. Why have you disturbed me? Listen to Saul's pathetic response, the king of Israel. Groveling before a spirit he had illegally summoned, I'm in great distress. The Philistines are fighting against me, and God has departed from me. He no longer answers me. So I've called on you to tell me what to do. Samuel's response was merciless. Why do you consult me, now that the Lord has departed from you and become your enemy? Tomorrow, you and your sons will be with me. The Lord will deliver Israel into the hands of the Philistines. Tomorrow, you will be with me, in the realm of the dead. Saul collapsed. The witch, this practitioner of forbidden arts, ended up being the one to show him mercy, preparing him a final meal before he went to meet his doom. And here's where our comfortable theology gets disrupted. God had explicitly forbidden consulting the dead. It was an abomination, capital punishment worthy. And yet, God allowed Samuel to appear, the real Samuel, with a real prophecy. That really came true. The next day, Saul and his 3 sons died on Mount Gilboa, exactly as Samuel foretold. So we re-left with an uncomfortable question that has divided theologians for 3,000 years. Did God's sovereign work through a forbidden practice? Some say God hijacked the seance, that he interrupted the witch-esque demonic ritual with the real Samuel to pronounce final judgment. Others argue this proves the spiritual realm is more complex than our neat categories allow. But perhaps the most disturbing interpretation? That sometimes, God's sovereignty is so absolute that he can use even our rebellion to accomplish his purposes, while still holding us accountable for the rebellion itself. Right now, In 2024, Christians are playing with fire. Christian tarot readers claim God speaks through their cards. Believers justify astrology saying God created the stars. Prophet channels on YouTube claim to summon angels. Churches incorporate Christian yoga and energy healing. People seek word from the Lord through mediums who only work with the Holy Spirit. The Witch of Endor's story doesn't validate these practices, it condemns them. Notice, even though God used this moment, Saul still died under judgment. The witch was still practicing evil. The law was still the law. God's sovereignty doesn't make sin acceptable. Just because God can work through forbidden means doesn't mean He approves of us seeking them. Saul's story asks us a brutal question. What forbidden doors are you tempted to open when God seems silent? What compromises whisper your name when prayers go unanswered? Because hear us the truth the enemy does NT want you to know. God's silence is never an invitation to seek other voices. Sometimes faith means standing in the darkness, refusing to light forbidden fires, trusting that God's silence is still better than the enemy's answers. Saul forgot that truth. The next day, he paid with his life. The question is, what will you choose? What will you choose?